your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
We have been given a gift by God today to usher in a new dynasty.
Now you get RFK Jr.
Don't you want a president who's going to make America healthy again?
You get Tulsi Gabbard.
Putting our country in a continual state of war.
You get Elon Musk and you get J.D. Vance.
A hell of a way to start the next 4 years.
The right-wing Avengers.
We have an army of digital soldiers.
Department of Defense under Donald Trump will achieve peace through strength.
Shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
The rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
The golden age of America has most definitely begun.
Begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay.
They're getting the dirtbags off these streets.
There's one guy who can fix this shit, and it's Donald Trump.
What's storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Thunder breaks, the ground is shaking from the weight. Voices crying in the night, but freedom burns a steady light. We hold the line, we won't let go. Through every trial, the truth will show. This is your daily dose. Open your eyes, see through the smoke, see through the lights. Rise from the silence, hear freedom's call. One voice, one people, united we stand tall.
Hearts awaken, chains undone. A new day breaks, the dawn has come. Through every battle, through the flame, our faith in God remains the same. The storm may rage, the night may fall, but hope will answer stronger than all.
This is your daily dose. Courage and fire, lifting the weak, lifting us higher. Not by the sword, but the truth we recall. Where we go on. We've seen the darkness try to reign. We felt the sorrow, we've known the pain. But every trial has forged the steel. In God we trust, His plan is real.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Josh. Welcome to the Red Pill Project's Daily Dose, live with you Monday through Friday. I hope everybody is doing well tonight and having a great, peaceful evening, knowing that there's not going to be an Iranian barbecue tonight. A lot is going on. A lot of things are unraveling as we speak. Listen. This is freaking nuts. So we discussed last night various different plausible scenarios that we could see come out. Was Trump going to utilize a tax on Iranian infrastructure as a method to go in there and take Iranian uranium or to destroy the nuclear facilities? Was this a setup for the ultimate rug pull? And it was. It was a setup for the ultimate rug pull. Donald Trump's rhetoric over the last few days was nothing more than a psyop, and you got to love it because, I mean, man, this is crazy because you are beginning to see the true colors of a lot of people out there in the world, specifically what we believe to be MAGA influencers. Now, Trump said over the course of the last few days, and he came out last night with this post. Let me pull this up. Gotta click there. Okay. The whole civilization will die tonight, never be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, that now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionary, wonderful can happen. Who knows? This is so interesting. And I wrote a post about this earlier today on X, and we talked about it last night. Listen to his words. Now that we have complete and total regime change, and look, he capitalized complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, less radicalized minds prevail. Maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Who knows? Guys, if you break this down over the events of the last few days, something interesting happened. When they were going to rescue the weapons officer of the F-15, the United States went in and bombed the living shit out of a meeting of senior Iranian and IRGC officials. 50 of them were eliminated. The news reported that this was U.S. and Israeli airstrikes. Israel came out immediately and said they weren't involved. Why? You remember immediately when this war began, Israel was posting information that Khossani and all of these guys were working for the Mossad, that they had actors within inside the Iranian government and the IRGC. What are Israel's objectives? Netanyahu stated his objective. A week and a half ago, we played the clips on this show of Benjamin Netanyahu stating he wants Israel to become a regional and then a global superpower. What were his plans to do that? He was going to control Iranian oil, that no longer will Iranian oil be dependent upon the Strait of Hormuz. Instead, Israel will go in, they will build a pipeline from Iran into Israel to offload that oil through the Med. We had a show on this last week where we discussed this. That was Israel's objectives. Those are far different than Donald Trump's objectives. We're going to break this all down for you tonight. This is going to be one of those episodes, because tonight's episode is called The New World Order. And it's not the New World Order that we used to know, the rules-based international order that is sponsored by the Bank of London, by the central bankers, by the large financial institutions, by the Rothschild dynasties. This is instead the New World Order produced and created by Donald Trump. And there's a lot more to this post that we're going to break down here in a few minutes. A few different updates as we get going here. And 1 second, I wanted to move this back to the spot that it was supposed to go at. So I'm going to GART, Great American Restoration Tour. I'll be there Thursdays, the VIP dinner, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I want to give everybody the ability to join in on this. And how you do that is redpills.tv. Go on over to redpills.tv. And if you go to the website, you go to the More tab, click on the More tab, go to Events right there. And you're going to find the way to get virtual tickets. Or if you want to, and you're near Nashville, Tennessee, you can attend in person. Come and meet me. That will be awesome. If you are coming out there, let everybody know. I'd love to meet you guys. So make sure that when you do see me, you're like, Josh, so we can have a little chat. And that's April 9th through April 12th. So tomorrow there will be no show. I was thinking about leaving Thursday morning, but since we have the VIP dinner, there's one of the events that we do for the VIP people that come to the event. I have to be there Thursday night, so I'm going to be leaving tomorrow evening. So with that, I will be back Monday for the regular show. I am bringing my streaming equipment with me, which means that most likely, there will probably be a show or two in there. DEF CON 0 tonight. Yes, DEF CON 0 will be tonight. Myself and Alpha, we're going to be breaking this down even more in depth because I know he's got some information on it as well. But I did want to put those announcements out there. Now, what have we been saying about Donald Trump and his rhetoric? This is what we've been talking about on DEF CON Q After Hours. This is what we've been talking about here on this show, is that Donald Trump and his rhetoric is nothing more than a psychological warfare operation. There's influence ops going on all over the place. Now, this is reiterated through various different ideas. I'm going to pull one up right now that was reposted by General Flynn, and this is from Alpha Warrior. And this is actually really, really important because it was spot on correct of the assumption that Alpha and myself had been talking about. And we'll pull this one up right here. Move that over, blow this up a little bit. And General Flynn says, all true, Alpha Warrior. Control the narrative, shape perception, manipulate emotion, redirect the audience, neutralize real resistance, check ego at the door. And Alpha said, warning for Americans part 2. That is a psyop. And he talks about Donald Trump. He talks about what's going on. He talks about the media. He talks about the media narrative. He talks about 5th generation warfare. And he goes all the way into what is happening right now. Well, interestingly enough, John Solomon actually had something to say on this. Listen to what John Solomon has to say. You ready? Because it's exactly what we've been telling you.
John, what are the chances that a lot of this language that we're all reacting to right now is really sort of a psyops that President Trump is pulling on Iranian leadership? That's my first question. The second part of my question is, how do the occurrences of the last 24, 48 hours change the trajectory and maybe the projection of the war overall?
Boy, those are two really great questions. Let's start with the first question. 1,000%. There are psyops going on in President Trump. He's always doing that. Look at the illusion we created over the weekend where we had the Iranians thinking the pilot was in another area. The CIA created an entire ruse so we could go get the guy where he was. We're constantly playing psychological operations games with Iran, but those psychological operations only work if the Iranians believe that Donald Trump's going to deliver. And I think this morning, the bombardment of Karg Island, which was pretty substantial, it was a warning sign that he does intend to bring hell if they don't get a deal. So there is...
Spot on. Spot on correct. Now, a lot of people are butthurt over Donald Trump's words the last few days. So much so that you have many Democrats and what we believe to be conservatives screaming for the 25th Amendment that he needs to be removed. Here's a clue. Donald Trump's words were not meant for you and me. They were meant for the leadership in Iran who have had multiple opportunities to end this and yet continue to serve their masters. This is Trump's final ultimatum. He is not the one to test when it comes to force. He will use it, and they know it. Now, we're just learning more details of the deal and a few different things that have came out. We're going to go over the deal, certain things. Right? Actually, I'll say this. This is breaking news. Secretary Marco Rubio has just announced the release of kidnapped American journalist Shelley Kittleson, who was kidnapped by Iranian-backed terrorists many years ago. So there you go. There's one thing that is coming out of this. Laura Ingram says she just got off the phone with President Trump, and he announced after he announced a 2-week ceasefire in Iran, says he is seriously optimistic. He just got off the phone with President Trump, literally just had to rewrite the whole show. He was extremely serious in my conversation with him just now, and he's also cautiously but seriously optimistic. He told me that negotiations are and were incredibly complex. And I'm going to talk about the negotiations of Trump and what actually we're seeing and the fake news versus the real news of what Iran is agreeing to and why Iran is still striking Israel. What is going on there? Oh, that's interesting. David Clements, not someone I necessarily follow, but he did put this out there earlier today. He said, Trump's messaging on Iran should only give you heartache if you think Iran is the real enemy. Iran is nothing more than a proxy for the bankers to keep us in forever wars. When Trump speaks of regime change, he's talking about the power behind the proxy. Today is way bigger than people realize. Spot on. I love that. That was huge. Okay, so we're going to get into the breakdown of what happened today, why it happened, all of the fine details in the midst of it. But I got to bring on some friends real quick. We're going to talk to Kurt and Kristen, your guys' 2 favorite people in the world. So just a short segment. We're going to bring them in and whoa, they're What's up, guys? How we doing?
Hey, Josh, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. Well, welcome back. And it's been a few weeks, but I'm glad to have you guys back on here. So what is new in the Pet Club world? And for people who don't know, Kurt and Kristen were with Pet Club. And Pet Club, it says Pet Club, but it's for humans too. And it's an amazing group of products out there utilizing Coriolis, Versicolor, lion's mane, cordyceps, and all different types of mushrooms to help heal the body naturally, as well as your pets. But Kurt and Kristen, what's up? What's new?
Well, it's kind of like I kind of want to hurry because I want to get back to what you're going to talk about, and I'm so excited to hear it. But thanks for having us on. And sorry, guys, thanks for the break. We just want to share a couple things with you. But I wanted to update you because last time that we were on your show, remember we talked about mitochondrial biogenesis and all the things that are happening in your body. Got a little nerdy talking about all the things that are happening in your body when you get that mitochondrial support through these different types of mushrooms that we talked about. But I wanted to give you a little update because I don't know if you've seen like all over the place or all these like weight loss shots and, GLP-1 treatments and blah, blah, blah. Like literally I'm bombarded by them. I never talk about them. I've never once looked them up, but they come to my emails. I see them all over social media. Like I can't turn on the TV without seeing a commercial for one. And everybody's trying them, right? Like so many people are talking about it. Well, I just wanted to share with you our experience because this was not something that we really thought would happen. It wasn't our goal. We truly were just trying to get nutritional support to get to activate the mitochondrial biogenesis in our body. But this is what's crazy, right? So I shared with you my protocol that I was doing for that, right? So we have a product called the Enforce Plus, which is the yellow bottle. This has Coriolis, the color mushroom, and reishi in it. Okay. We have the Enforce Clarity, which is the blue bottle that has lion's mane mushroom in it. And these are all tablets for people. We have the Enforce Shield, which is the orange bottle with shiitake mushroom, and the Enforce Restore, which is the red bottle with maitake mushroom. So I take one of each of those every day. I'm about 130 pounds. And I also take a teaspoon of the Beauty and Longevity Gel, which also has reishi, shiitake, and maitake mushroom, but it also has aloe vera, interleaf aloe vera, and proprietary structured water. So it helps these mushrooms penetrate more deeply and absorb more deeply into the body. They're great carriers for adaptogenic mushrooms or medicinal mushrooms if you're taking them. Here's what happened. I started taking this entire protocol last December. My first month of taking it, I lost 5 pounds, which I'm very, very healthy. I have no health concerns whatsoever. I didn't even know that I needed to lose 5 pounds, but it just happened, right? Then my mom started taking it when I was talking to her about all the nerdy stuff. And she said, I want to do your same protocol. She lost a pound a day for 14 days. She lost 14 pounds in 14 days. Before that, she was only taking the Clarity and the Enforce, and in about 10 months, she lost 70 pounds. So she did it in like a really healthy, natural way, right? When she implemented this protocol, she lost an additional 14 pounds in 14 days. I had another friend that I was telling about. She started taking them as well. She's part of some like program where they get weighed every week, and she was losing about an ounce a week, and her husband was joking with her. She's like, "You're only 30 years away from your target weight." She's losing 1 ounce a week. But she started taking this protocol. The last 2 weeks, she's been losing 1 pound a week. So she's 16 times, if that's a word, what was happening. So all of that to say, we looked into the medicinal mushrooms and these holistic mushrooms and what they were doing. And we learned that like the GLP-1 treatments that people are taking are muting the brain. It's like overriding signals and mimicking signals in the body very unnaturally. And it's very effective, which is why people are paying like $1,000 a month, right? They're paying like $1,000 a month for these shots. And it works like 90% of the time. It's very, very effective, but it happens at such a fast rate that not only are there like side effects associated with the treatments themselves, but there are unintended or indirect side effects from the rapid unnatural weight loss, like losing hair, thinning hair, muscle loss, like, you know, where people get that Ozempic face where their face looks just sucked in, like they look like a skeleton because they lose all their facial fat so fast unnaturally. So there are all of these issues that people are experiencing from the GLP-1 treatments. But what we found was while those types of treatments work to like override or mimic signals in the body, these 5 mushrooms actually do a different approach. So they're not mimicking it. They're not forcing appetite suppression. They're not creating more GLP-1 because our bodies already naturally create it. Instead, they're naturally regulating hunger, blood sugar, and metabolism. So I'll do this really, really fast because I can't wait to hear what you're going to say. So first of all, the maitake is supporting your insulin sensitivity and healthy glucose metabolism. So that's what's helping stabilize blood sugar, which is one of the key drivers of hunger and cravings. Then you look at the Coriolis Versicolor mushroom, which is supporting your gut microbiome, which plays a huge role in regulating your appetite hormones. And that includes your GLP-1 signaling. So it's naturally increasing the GLP-1 signaling. And this also has the reishi mushroom, which helps support your stress and cortisol balance. Because when your stress is really high, all your appetite signals get dysregulated. And that's a lot of times why we crave and overeat. They call it emotional eating. I'm sure you've heard of that. And then the shiitake mushroom, this one helps to support lipid metabolism. So it's helping your body process fats more efficiently. And then the lion's mane is supporting the brain and the nervous system. So it's regulating the communication between the gut and the brain, which is the pathway that controls your hunger signaling and your satiety signaling. So knowing when you're satisfied. So all of that in mind, we are blown away by how we're training the body to adapt, training the body to reactivate processes that have slowed down, or some of them have almost gone away completely as we've aged. All of these processes are getting reactivated. All of these new things are happening in our body. And while, you know, losing weight was not the original intention, and I mean, it's not a weight loss program by any means, but what we're finding is that this combination of these 5 mushrooms is opening up new communications. It's restoring balance in the body. It's helping to create the proper signaling and restore the proper signaling, which the byproduct of that is then maintaining a healthy weight balance. So I wanted to share that with you and the audience because it's just something that, like, I myself wasn't expecting that to happen, but it's happened. And now we're seeing it happen with multiple people. And I think that, you know, it's a different type of approach, but it's a scientifically validated mechanism that's out there, and that's validated for people if they do want to do things in a way that's healthy for them, not going to give them those indirect consequences.
I was just going to say, I saw that Dusty wrote that, you know, I think that's why I lost 35 pounds on mushrooms.
Yeah, because it's restoring the balance in your body.
Well, and I'll give everybody a little dose of this. So Alpha has been taken, the synergetic approach. He's been taking, like, I think 2 or 3 of every single one of the bottles every day. And one of the first things that he ever said to me was like, dude, why am I losing weight? And he was losing massive amounts of fat. And still to this day, he works out, but he's been losing fat. And it's one of the things that I've heard from a lot of people in testimonials is that they drop massive amounts of weight. And it makes a lot of sense when we start to understand the synergetic approach of what the mushrooms actually do. And the main problem with, I think, people out there is typically our environment, right? And we fight and we battle with our own habits and behaviors and sleep and sunshine and light and LEDs and all these things. But the one thing that we tend to understand is that we have an immense amount of toxicity in the body, and the body holds on to that because it produces inflammation. Inflammation then drives cortisol. Cortisol drives stress, all of these factors. And when you get the mushrooms in there and that is able to start cleaning that system out and remove that toxicity, that inflammation goes away and the body can naturally heal itself. And then it doesn't have to hold on, because there's two scientific approaches to kind of fat cells, like lipo cells, that are occurred on the body. Is that number one is the sheer number of fat cells or the size of the fat cells, and fat cells can contain massive amounts of toxicity, so it creates excess toxicity that your body doesn't know what to do with. It stores it in fat cells, so that'll blow that fat cell up, but also it retains a massive amount of water. And so when you start to utilize these things, your body starts to release that, because your body's holding on to it because of stress primarily. And when that stress becomes reduced and that toxicity becomes reduced, that body is meant to get rid of all of that. So it's not necessarily reducing the amount of fat cells within the body, it's reducing the size of those fat cells, because it's releasing a massive amount of water that was actually in excess because of the inflammation in the body. So and mushrooms are immensely one of the best parts out there to treat inflammation in the body.
Yeah. And the more that we learn about this, we're learning mushrooms truly intelligently nourish our bodies in ways that no other food can. And again, these are the most scientifically validated mechanisms that you can find. There are hundreds of published studies that are being done on these mushrooms, because the big companies don't want us to know that there's a food that's naturally doing all of these things in our bodies. So they're researching these foods, studying them, trying to figure out what is activating this, or the catalyst, or what is making these mushrooms work so effectively, so they can figure out how to synthesize it and patent that. And then they can make their trillions of dollars. That's what they've always done, right? They've tried to find ways to override signals or mimic nature and what nature's naturally doing. And so it's so exciting that it's like been all these years now and they still haven't figured it out. And meanwhile, all of us little guys are like, by the way, guys, we're good. We don't need you anymore.
Yeah. So for everybody out there, I mean, this is not just for you. This is for your pets and animals as well. They got a massive amount of products out there for dogs, for cats, for horses, for human beings in all different shapes and sizes and forms, for children, all the way up to things for adults like coffee. You can go check that out. That's petclub.redpills.tv. So petclub.redpills.tv. You guys can go on over there, check them out. That'll take you to the primary website. Go to the top and click shop, and you can kind of search and break it down from there. They do have packs, right? You have like alpha packs where people can buy the synergy bottles, right? So they can basically group it all together, correct?
Yeah, they can get it in bulk. And this is for people that want, a lot of it at one time. You actually get a discount. You get anywhere from 22 to 30% in free product when you purchase the alpha packs. So that's just a way to lower your cost per bottle if you do it that way. And someone said, how old is she? Okay, right? I'm 44 years old. I am not wearing any makeup. Like, this is me. And I promise you that I did not look like this before I started taking all these mushrooms. But I feel like I'm 23 years old because I'm putting the proper nutrition in my body and I'm getting it the support. I stopped chasing the symptoms and treating the symptoms, and I started supporting the systems of my body. And it's truly, like, on a cellular level, changed me so much. What were you going to say?
I just, there was one question or two, if we could address them real quick,
Sure.
John. I know we got to go, but is it safe for diabetics? Yeah, not only is it safe, we've seen tremendous results with type 2 diabetics with with what it does for the sugar intake, all those things really
Especially
great.
the Restore.
Yeah, something that I would recommend that you definitely take. When we talk about the Coriolis Versicolor, this specific bottle, which is our main product that we've had for, going on 30 years now. It's just done spectacular things. It doesn't interact with medications. You can't overdose. You can't get addicted. You can't take too much. I would definitely give it a try and see what it might do for you.
Yeah, and people out there that have questions, you can send me a message. Just make sure in the title. So for anybody that doesn't know my email, redpillstv@gmail.com. Redpillstv@gmail.com. That's in the description. You guys, if you got questions, you can send them either. You can go to the Pet Club website right there, petclub.redpills.tv. You can send them the questions, or you can send them to me, and I'll put you direct contact with Kurt and Kristen right here, and you guys can ask your questions.
Absolutely. And thank you for letting us jump in here. I was so excited to share all that with everybody because I know this community, it's been helping a lot of people. And so I just wanted to give you a little update on what we've been experiencing.
Well, I appreciate you guys. And for anybody that doesn't know, I used to work for American Media Periscope. They sold the company, and I was like, I had nothing. We weren't doing anything on the show. And like, he's going to have to shut everything down. And then you guys came in, we talked, and you're like, we had a good mutual friend who had massive success with the big C word and these products, and brought you guys on board. And the one thing that I can say is that these products worked. And I can say that unequivocally because since we started this, I believe in October of 2023, 2023, we've had the same people that have been buying these every month continue to buy them every month, whether it's for their pets or for themselves, with massive amounts of testimonials and feedback of them telling me this stuff is amazing. It works. I love this stuff, and I use it every day. And so I've never seen a product like that before. And I'm not trying to sell this. I recommend people go try them themselves, but it's literally, I've never seen anything like this, and that's why I introduced Kurt and Kristen to Alpha and other podcasters, because the product is just absolutely amazing. Well, they're good people too, but the product's absolutely amazing. And so I highly recommend, if you have not tried it yet, petclub.redpills.tv. Go check it out, guys. Kurt, Kristen, I appreciate you guys. We'll see you here in a few weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Take care.
All right, guys. If you do have any questions on that, redpillstv@gmail.com. Feel free to email me, and we can chat about that. I'll get you in contact with Kurt and Kristen over there. All right. I know everybody's been waiting for this one. The breakdown of Iran. I saw a joke today, and it was kind of my son actually told it to me. It was kind of funny, kind of not. The downed F-15 weapons officer that was behind enemy lines. He was asked in an interview, how was it that he evaded capture? And he said, Iran. Come on. That was good. Come on. That was good. Iran. I'm sorry. Okay. So earlier today, before any of this nonsense that's going on right now happened, I posted this. I said, there are two probable scenarios that we might be going to see tonight. Number one is the ultimate rug pull. Number two, I will read number two actually first, because this is what we covered last night. Cover for massive military operations. If Trump did take out the electrical, it would be through cyber, but I can see them taking out roads, runways, bridges, and all the methods of transportation. Why? If you're going to destroy and operate ground troops in a country and secure nuclear materials, you need a massive amount of troops and machinery. C-130s last weekend almost seemed like a dry test run for something bigger. That's what we discussed last night. But number one is actually what happened. It was the ultimate rug pull. Now, listen to what I say here, because this is what we are seeing unfold right now. It's almost like Trump has been using the rhetoric because he wants people to intentionally dislike him, but at the same time, expose those who have hated him all along and expose those who have been posers in MAGA. So over the last day, how many people on the left started it, 25th Amendment, and then on the right started coming out with a 25th Amendment? How many people that were pro-MAGA, that were pro-America First, are all now calling for Trump to be removed? This is what we're talking about here. This was the psychological warfare operation with Trump's post that we looked at a little while ago. Another angle on this, and is most likely is the tensions with Israel. Because if you haven't realized, there's massive tensions with Israel. And I'm going to point out a few different parts of why this is true here in a little bit with the evidence. Number one, Netanyahu has attempted to disrupt every negotiation that Trump has attempted. Keeping Israel guessing is the best strategy, even if a deal has been made. An event happened the other day that reaffirms this position. The U.S. eliminated 50 Iranian IRGC officials. The airstrike was credited towards a joint U.S.-Israel airstrike. Israel denied involvement. Why? We know Israel has infiltrated much of the Iranian leadership and government. That is how they got close and eliminated Khamenei. What if they still had people in place to ensure a longer war? What if Israel's objectives were running Iran and controlling the oil, as Netanyahu stated weeks ago? He stated that Israel was going to control Iran's oil through pipelines that bypass the strait and go through Israel. Then that doesn't align with Trump's objectives. Trump said, he wants the Iranian people to keep the oil, but if he wanted it, he can go in and get it. What if a deal has already been made between Iran and the U.S.? And this is where what happened today actually makes a lot of sense. And there's proof of this, that Sharif, the prime minister of Pakistan, actually pasted his tweet into X and posted it almost like it was sent to him. The rhetoric is simply the deception op to keep Israel thinking there is a deadline in the negotiations. At 8 p.m. tonight, Trump will announce a deal has been made, signed, and is complete. The rug pulls any attempt at Israel to interfere with these negotiations. Trump stated in his recent post, "We now have a complete and total regime change." Is he referring to the elimination of the 50 Iranian leadership killed over the weekend? I think so. He then says, maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Then who knows? Remember, there was a leaker that was suspected to be Israeli media of the downed pilot. Who knows indicates that there was something wonderful about to happen. They for sure don't know. This is the most plausible theory of what we'll see over the next few hours. And that is almost exactly what we've seen. And there's lots of information coming out pertaining to that. We're going to look at this here in a few minutes. Okay. Now, many are saying that Iran won the war. People are not paying attention. That is simply not true. Go back a day ago and understand what Trump wrote. The ceasefire came about because Iran believed that Trump would annihilate their infrastructure. So a deal was proposed, not the Iran proposal from last week, instead a simple one that restarts negotiations. This is the first time that Iran did not test the waters of a U.S. president in a call their bluff, simply because Trump was not bluffing. The terms are interim. Trump has already said this. The terms of this ceasefire are interim, are the foundation to restart negotiations. Okay. And there's more to this. Where the hell is it? No. I have so much more. Where the heck is it? There's another post that's supposed to be here. Well, let's get into what we're seeing right now. Number one, remember in this post right here when I said that this was already negotiated, my last post, it was already negotiated. Mario says Trump already decided to delay his deadline. He just didn't want to look bad doing it for the 5th time, so he asked Pakistan to propose this delay. He already accepted Pakistan's proposal before Pakistan even knew about it. Mario is kind of framing this in the context that Trump was kind of like, let's get this over with. That's just not true. That this was from the get-go of what they wanted to happen. Okay? I'm going to go through a few different stories, and then we're going to get into the nut and butter of what all of this is. Number one, Trump posted this, and this has to do with fake Nigerian news that CNN picked up with. The alleged statement put out by CNN would world news is a fraud, and CNN knows well. The false statement was linked to a fake news site from Nigeria and, of course, immediately picked up by CNN and blared out as a legitimate headline. The official statement by Iran was just released and posted on Truth. Below, authorities are looking to determine whether or not the crime was committed on the issuance of fake CNN world statement, and it was just a sick rogue player. CNN is being ordered to immediately withdraw the statement and full apologies for their, as usual, terrible reporting. Reports of the investigation will be announced in the near future. And so the official statement from Iran posted by Donald Trump on Truth Social. On behalf of the Islamic Republic of Iran, I express no. I love this. On behalf of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Interesting how they put that out there. I express gratitude and appreciation for my dear brother, he Prime Minister of Pakistan Sharif, and he Field Marshal Munir for their tireless efforts to end this war in the region. In response to the brotherly request of PM Sharif in his tweet, and considering the request by the U.S. for negotiations based on its 15-point proposal, as well as an announcement by POTUS about acceptance of the general framework of Iran's 10-point proposal as a basis for negotiation, I hereby declare on behalf of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, if attacks against Iran are halted, our powerful armed forces will cease their defensive operations. For a period of 2 weeks, safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be possible via coordination with Iran's armed forces and with due consideration of technical limitations. So, confirming what I was saying in that earlier post, right? That this is the baseline of negotiations. In other words, Trump proposed a 15-point proposal. Iran came back with a 10-point proposal. And the 10-point proposal is not what was agreed upon, but is the basis for negotiations. This is what Iran wants. And Trump said, okay, let's restart negotiations with these 10 points as the premise. This is what he's talking about here. Now, I'm going to tell you, guys, this is going to get pretty crazy when we start to get into this, okay? Now, oil prices extend losses to $97.50 a barrel, down 20% in 8 hours. Now, here is one post here of the terms that Iran put out in their 10-point proposal. 2-week pause is subject to Iran agreeing to a complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz. Trump describes this as a double-sided ceasefire brokered by Pakistan. Trump says the U.S. has already met and exceeded all military objectives. Trump says the U.S. and Iran are far along in a definitive agreement for long-term peace. This is a very, very important part. Trump says the U.S. and Iran are far along with a definitive agreement for long-time peace. Remember what I told you, is that this was already agreed upon. Trump says Iran's 10-point proposal is a workable basis, and this 2-week period will allow the agreement to be finalized. Okay. Now, let's back up a little bit because there's some important parts here. Trump was talking about whoever posted the leaked information about the weapons officer. I know there was a post earlier saying, oh, it wasn't Segal that did it, which is Netanyahu's favorite journalist. No, it was. It was Israel Channel 12, which was the first one that actually proposed this. Now, Trump threatened jail to whoever leaked that information. I think that this was the final straw. Now, here's the one key, because I'm hearing right now that Iran is bombing Tel Aviv and Israel. And that's sad. This community note was actually deleted by X. Don't know why, but I said this community note is a gem. Iran launches new wave of missiles towards Israel 10 minutes after President Trump announces a 2-week ceasefire, according to the IDF. The community note, Trump announced a 2-week ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran, conditional on Iran opening the Strait of Hormuz. It does not involve Israel. Oh. And yes, we are seeing missiles fly into Tel Aviv right now. Now, that's also interesting because the United States went in and bombed the shit out of Karg Island as a warning to the IRGC and Iran that they will follow through with their promise of complete annihilation. That was earlier today. Then, later in the day, just hours before the deadline, Israel began hitting massive amounts of infrastructure, electrical infrastructure inside Iran. The U.S. wasn't involved in this. Again, there we go. Another point of trying to disrupt negotiations. Now, what are we seeing from a lot of the pro-AIPAC Israel lobby out there? Look at this. And Eli David is not a bad person, but he says, what the fuck? Trump just shared Argachi's post that he accepted the regime's 10-point proposal. Reminder, here is the 10-point proposal. And I said, Netanyahu is having a conniption fit right now. Netanyahu doesn't know what to do. Netanyahu is going absolutely nuts and crazy right now because Israel wasn't part of the negotiation. There's nothing in this negotiation. Remember, you looked at Iran's proposal from last week that Israel remove all ground forces from Lebanon. That wasn't in this. That proposal is most likely being negotiated between Israel and Iran, and Trump's going to force them to probably come to the table. Now, this is the important part that nobody's talking about, that we're going to discuss right now. Many people are saying that Iran won this war. Not true. Not true in any way, shape, or form. Now, going back to that last post from the Kobayashi letter, Trump says the U.S. has already met and exceeded all military objectives. Trump says the U.S. and Iran are far along with a final definitive agreement for long-term peace. Trump says Iran's 10-point proposal is a workable basis, and this 2-week period will allow an agreement to be finalized. Trump won this war. If you think otherwise, you don't know who the enemy is. What has actually happened over the course of the last few weeks? The Iranian government is now free from the controls of the corrupt theocracy and European financial interests. Remember when Donald Trump says that the regime change has taken place? Right? He said this in his primary post. Let's pull this back up. There you go. He says a whole civilization will die tonight, never be brought back again. I don't want to do that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Who knows? Remember that? That is so important because Trump won the war. The Iranian government is now free from the controls of the corrupt theocracy and European financial interests. Ayatollah Khamenei had money sitting within London banks. Most of the oil transactions were mediated through London. This is something that many people don't know. Ali Khamenei, was worth over $48 billion. He had real estate all throughout Europe and the Middle East. His son, Mojtaba Khomeini, massive amounts of real estate in Germany, France, the UK. All of this money is moved through London banks through the Isle of Man. He financed his homes through who? Israeli financial companies. See, things are not what they seem. Number two, the Iranian terror premium. This is what this was about. Used by London and large financial institutions is obsolete. This is what caused over $30 trillion in theft over the last 3 decades by large maritime insurers, increasing premiums through the strait. These premiums increased oil between $5 to $15 a barrel on average. London was the largest derivatives trader and holds all the keys for insurance and financial intermediaries of transactions. So what happened? Trump threw out a massive warning to Lloyd's of London and the other maritime insurers. When this war began to happen, insurance premiums were dropped or skyrocketed through the roof, which caused oil to jump up. The derivatives market was trading this in that context, and this is primarily done through London. So the bankers are definitely involved. You got to remember how the supply chain works internationally. When a tanker full of oil leaves port and is going towards its destination, the company that purchases that oil in that tanker isn't paying the $1 billion outright for that oil. They're doing short interim capital lended through large financial institutions, primarily in London. London charges interest on those short interim loans. So when you have the price of a barrel of gas or oil skyrocket up to $90, $120, $200, not only are the London elite bankers and financial institutions making money off of the insurance premiums, and by the way, they can artificially control and manipulate this. This is what the Iranian terror premium is. Anytime Khomeini, who has direct relationships to MI6, to the London bankers, to the London, the old British Empire that kind of translated into the rules-based international order and the large financial institutions, anytime that Khomeini comes out and threatens the Strait of Hormuz, Lloyd's of London would increase the insurance premium, raising the price of a barrel of oil. By that time, the London financial institutions had already put their derivatives trades in for higher oil, which they're making massive amounts of money off of the trade level of that. Then there's reselling that back onto the market in loaning those short interim capital and getting interest rates skyrocketed up to fulfill those obligations. So they're making money at every level of that Iranian terror premium, and they had an inside guy that controlled it. What else happened? British and Chinese oil and gas infrastructure in the region has been decimated. Force majeure in Iraq and Qatar. You remember this? This is what I said a few weeks ago, and Alpha didn't believe me, and I said it's almost like Iran is working for Donald Trump, right? It's almost like Iran is working for Donald Trump because they're hitting British oil infrastructure. There was a post that came out, I think it was last night, and we went over it a little bit, but I want to pull this post back up because it's really important to understand this part that we're talking about right now. Let me see here. I got to go back a little ways. It's the Russia post. And hold on. You guys can wait a second. It's the Russia post. Hold on. It must have been yesterday. There's a ton of stuff in this feed. My feed is huge. I got a big feed on X. All right. Almost there. Almost there. Almost there. I actually want to bring that one out because that's important. Oh, right there. Okay. It's got to be here somewhere. I thought it was going to be easy to find. I remember most of it from the top of my head. I can probably just repeat it, but I know there's a lot of fact checkers out there that want to correct me. So yesterday, a report came out that Russia is actually supplying Iran with over 55 targets within Israel and the Middle East to actually hit. Now, this is really, really important. Russia is feeding intelligence into Iran of various different logistical targets to hit throughout the Middle East. Okay, well, that's kind of interesting. What else happened? Iran hit the Qatari Fars field, where 15% of their oil and gas infrastructure was destroyed. Who owned that oil and gas infrastructure? That was British Petroleum. That was British companies. This came to the point that on that infrastructure, Qatar had to issue a force majeure, that they could not go out there and complete their obligations. A week prior to that, Iran decimated oil and gas infrastructure in Iraq. Now, interesting enough, the majority of that oil and gas infrastructure in Iraq is owned by who? The UK, by British Petroleum, KNG, and other companies, and China. So when we go in here and we look at this one, British and Chinese oil and gas infrastructure in the region has been decimated. Force majeure in Iraq and Qatar. This is what we're talking about. Where did Iran get that intelligence? They got it from Russia. But wait a minute. How does Russia play into this? Well, go back to the Alaska summit. Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin meet, and then you kind of have this pit and pat back and forth. The next day after the Alaska summit, Russia had Arctic LNG take massive tankers amounts of oil and gas and push them out to sea. Now, there's no buyers for it, but he just left them sitting out there. In the context over the last few weeks, Ukraine has been bombing the shit out of Russian oil and gas infrastructure. I wonder why, because Ukraine is nothing more of a proxy for the UK. But here's the other caveat, that the moment the Strait of Hormuz shut down and Lloyd's of London, British, went out there and increased the insurance premiums or dropped them altogether, Donald Trump came out and said that, hey, we will cover the insurance premiums for any ship transiting the Strait of Hormuz. This forced Lloyd of London's hands, and this is why they are obsolete on that. But also something else happened. Scott Bessent, the Secretary of Treasury, went out there and he reduced Russian sanctions on oil, on ocean-borne oil. In other words, if they had tankers that were already out to sea with massive amounts of oil on them, they could release that to the world. And that's exactly what happened. But that oil was positioned right during the Alaskan summit, as in there is coordination between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. Now you're hearing that Vladimir Putin was feeding Iran with various different targets within the region to hit oil and gas infrastructure. And the majority of the destroyed infrastructure was whose? Israeli, Chinese, and British. Well, holy shit. Who's the real enemy here? It's almost like Donald Trump is working with Iran through proxy through Russia. The lifting of the sanctions will come at a price of oil being transacted in US dollars. Oh my fucking God. Remember yesterday? The war nobody is framing correctly about the dollar, not the news. Iran was selling 90% of its oil to China in the won, not dollars. It was part of a broader BRICS push to bypass the dollar in global energy trade. Venezuela was doing the same thing. Trump took out both within weeks of each other. That's not a coincidence. The entire American economic model runs on one assumption. The world buys and sells oil in dollars, and those dollars get recycled back into the U.S. debt. The GCC is the engine for that system. Remember, who did Trump make different defense cooperation and defense pact agreements with? Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain are the GCC. And they sell oil in dollars and reinvest the proceeds into American assets. That cycle funds $39 trillion in the national debt that keeps the American economy functioning. Iran threatened that system in two different ways. It sold oil outside of the dollar, and it had the military capability to threaten the GCC nations that anchor the petrodollar. A nuclear-armed Iran would eventually coerce its neighbors into abandoning the dollar entirely. Now look at what the war actually achieved. Iran's ability to threaten the GCC militarily has been massively degraded. Gulf states were quietly diversifying towards China are now completely dependent on American protection. The F-35 sale to Saudi Arabia locks Riyadh into U.S. weapons ecosystem for decades. Every Iranian oil sale in won that gets taken offline is a sale that reverts back to U.S. dollars. If the U.S. withdraws from the Middle East without securing the petrodollar system, the GCC would become a client state of whoever guarantees their security next. This is where it's so important, and this is what I'm talking about. Why did Donald Trump agree to this deal with Iran that at first glance looks kind of shitty? Let's look at it real quick. Permanent end of the war, no temporary ceasefire. Okay. No future attacks on Iran, wants U.S. and Israel guarantees. No Israel strikes on Hezbollah, including Lebanon. Lift all sanctions, full sanction relief. That's the important part right there. Ending regional fighting, not just attacks on Iran. Reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Iran would end its blockade. Safe passage in Hormuz for ship movement. This is yesterday's, this is yesterday's. This is the wrong one. But what I want you to understand is that the lifting of sanctions is the most important part of all of this. The lifting of sanctions is the most important part of all of this. And the reason is because Donald Trump has negotiated that the lifting of the sanctions on Iran will allow Iranian oil to flow through the Straits of Hormuz, of which that oil will be transacted and settled in the U.S. dollar. Nice doing business with you. Trump eliminated China's access to cheap oil underneath sanctions. China is not going to have the capability now to go out there and get oil at 30% market price once sanctions are reduced. Not only that, is they lose superiority over Iranian oil because Iranian oil will now be transacted in the U.S. dollar. So there's talks right now that Trump is going to allow the refinement of uranium for nuclear energy. Yeah, absolutely. That's never been the problem. The problem has always been the control mechanisms over Iran, the British control mechanisms and the Chinese control mechanisms, which are nothing more than proxy for the British control mechanisms. The Iranian people can now rebuild and formulate a new government with minus a theocracy. It's just the beginning for them. And Trump actually had something to say. Trump was talking about this earlier. Israel, the U.S.'s greatest ally, showed their true colors in the world in the attempts to undermine Trump multiple different times, to the point where Tel Aviv is being bombarded right now. U.S. isn't doing anything. They're in a ceasefire. And I'm not happy about that. I'm hoping that the people of Tel Aviv are safe, but understand that Netanyahu is going to have to negotiate his own fucking terms. The Strait of Hormuz will open and oil will transact in U.S. dollars, reasserting Trump's promise of bringing the dollar back as the global reserve currency. This is what nobody's talking about yet. Why would Trump go out there and accept this deal? The reason being is because Iranian oil will be transacted in U.S. dollars. Not only transacted in U.S. dollars, but it will be the money, the profitability will no longer be funneled through the theocracy. The money. Hold on one second. I want to look at something. The money will be given back to the Iranian people. So now there's acceptance of Iran's uranium enrichment. Like I told you, one of the negotiations that Trump was putting online was actually helping Iran build out a nuclear Iran with plants, micronuclear reactors. This was on the table. Lifting all secondary sanctions. The sanctions are only going to get lifted if they transact that oil in U.S. dollar, which Iran will absolutely jump on board with because they're most likely taking advice from Pakistan and Russia, which Russia just 4 weeks ago said what? Russia is going to be moving towards the U.S. dollar for oil transactions. Now, here's your real key. Well, we covered all of it. So, who won the war? Trump won the war. Who was the real enemy? London, the global elite bankers, the globalists, China and Chinese infrastructure, and then European oil dominance within the Middle East, which they've had for over 60 years. All of that has been removed. It's gone. Trump won. It's not necessarily about controlling accessibility of the Straits of Hormuz or even controlling the oil within Iran. It's about getting that oil on the U.S. dollar, because once it's on the U.S. dollar, the U.S. can control that through multiple different fronts and points, because Iran enters into OPEC and the GCC, and then they begin transacting the global energy supply. But here is the real kicker that everybody missed. Chinese President Xi Jinping orders accelerated planning and construction of a new energy system to secure China's energy supply. Look at that. Why would Xi Jinping do this? Because he just got decimated. Probably because their Belt and Roads Initiative energy dominance plan has been systematically dismantled by Trump. All right. Now, few points. Let's bring this up. Let's listen.
They're not too happy. Well, the Israelis, for what they know so far with the details in this 2-week delay in the war, they're not too happy with the details, but they say it's President Trump's decision to make. The Iranian response was to fire another missile at Israel. It wasn't 5 minutes from the time that Truth Social post went up that our phones lit up with another incoming missile. This missile was intercepted over Jerusalem. The shrapnel came down. We've got no word of any injuries. It should be noted that word had gone out through the IDF that we should anticipate a lot of missile fire tonight, and they have not taken that down yet. So,
what? Who's launching missiles into Tel Aviv in Israel? Is it the IDF? Is it Iran? Israel wasn't part of the negotiations, but what does he say here?
2-week delay in the war. They're not too happy with the details, but
they're not too happy with the details. Israel isn't very happy with Donald Trump. Now, could it be possible that there's still two factions operating in Iran? Absolutely. And I think that is probably very close to the truth. and that there are loyalist factions still operating within the IRGC that do not want a ceasefire. They don't want this agreement to stop. But I think that what Donald Trump has signified is that they have the right people in the right place. They're talking to the right people, and that power is being taken back within Iran, and the various controlling factions are being dismantled. So huge. Lots of stuff happening right now. So in the, actually, we're going to transition real quick here. I got to go in here and do this one real quick. Let me do a refresh real quick on this one. Ton of people watching. Great. If you guys are new here and you have never watched here before, make sure you go in there and follow and subscribe. There we go. We're going to go ahead and do this one. We're going to run this and we'll come right back after this transition. Here's a little inside scoop that many creators are talking about behind the scenes. It's actually one of the reasons why I'm using Rumble. They made a way to super chat creators so we get paid immediately and without any fees. YouTube and Twitch take up to 50% fees when you tip creators. This method takes none. That's right. The platform takes 0 fees. I keep nearly 100% of what you send me. You can super chat with Bitcoin, Tether, USD, or even Tether Gold stablecoins. The tip will show up directly in our Rumble chat, which I'll do my best to read. All you need to do is download the Rumble wallet on the App Store and send the tips to your favorite creators. You can to wallet.rumble.com, or you can download the app directly from the App Store. Seriously, what an amazing way to get rid of the middleman and help the creators' economy. Shout out to Rumble for making this disruptive technology. Again, that's wallet.rumble.com. All right, coming back to reality here. The CIA unveiled a secret weapon, a futuristic new tool called Ghost Murmur, to find and rescue the second American airman who was shot down in southern Iran. The secret technology uses long-range quantum magnetometry to find the electromagnetic fingerprint of the human heartbeat and pairs the data with AI software to isolate signatures from background noise. Now, this is interesting because before they all put it out there, I put it out there. Before that information that I just said was public, I put it out there. And I said, Ghost Murmur is just a nickname they give to the public release of one function of a broader scale technology. What is it? Quantum sensing satellites. They can detect an ant taking a shit in the middle of the desert under 100 feet of sand. Simply adjust the sensors to what you are looking for, and it will find it. So they came out here and they talked about the Ghost Murmur as if this was a kind of an isolated tool that was only utilized for this one specific thing. No. This tool is highly sophisticated, and it's quantum sensing technology, which is something that the warfare domain has never truly seen before. Excuse me. All right. Guys, DEFCON 0, is that in like in a half an hour, an hour? I think it's in an hour. Shit, I don't even remember when DEFCON 0 is. Hold on. I got to see if what time the show's on. Okay, DEFCON 0 is in 30 minutes from now. So I'm going to go ahead and go finish my dinner, go into DEFCON 0. Don't forget one of our sponsors there, petclub.redpills.tv. Kurt and Kristen there, support them. If you guys are into the Lifewave and the patches and you are patching, I want to hear your feedback, but go on over to life.redpills.tv if you want to get into Lifewave. Help support Josh and the Red Pills project and everything we do here. Give.redpills.tv. And if you just want to go check out our website, redpills.tv. Crazy time to be alive, but you know what, people? Listen, it's one thing to understand that the world is changing, that the whole world order is transitioning away from this old imperialistic style that was operated since the end of World War II through the rules-based international order, through large financial institutions, think tanks, NGOs, and global infrastructure that then trickled down into nation-state sovereign governments, to now where nation-state sovereign governments are rising above that hierarchy and are now calling the shots, thanks to people like President Donald Trump. And they are dismantling the globalist infrastructure that has been laid in place over the course of the last 100 years. With that, the reallocation of global resources, which are now moving back into the hands and control of the nations of which host those resources. With the help and the protection of Trump and the infrastructure being built out by Western financiers moving in, we are moving into a Renaissance golden age period to where artificial superintelligence is about to emerge. Pandora's box has been opened. And Trump is ensuring that the United States is going to be the hyperpower that leads that next 100 years. So crazy time to be alive, guys. I appreciate all of you guys joining me tonight. Remember, no show tomorrow. Thursday will probably be a show. So I'm going to say Thursday will probably be a show. I got to test the streams once I get to the hotel. Friday, there might be a special show. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot going on Friday. DPH Live. We all have to take part of it. So I will let you guys know how that goes. But Thursday, for sure, I think there's probably going to be a stream if I can get a good internet connection. But much love, respect. God bless, guys. Take care. Have a great night. And we'll see you next time.
There was a time when our children stood tall, hand on their hearts, one voice for all. There was a time when honor had weight, when the flag was a symbol, not a debate. There was a time when our history was known, with pride in the rules that made us our own. There was a time, respect for the brave, for those who bled, for the lives they gave. Now the homeland burns in silent war. Truth is twisted, we can't ignore. Still calls, we the people will not fall. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil undone, patriots rise. We are one, land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time when truth was clear, when the media served, not ruled by fear. There was a time when leaders stood fast, guarding the people, defending the past. Now corruption wears a crown, lies are fed to tear us down. But Q said watch, and Q said see. The silent war will set us free. From the front lines, soldiers stare, wondering if we're still there. Their blood, their hope, their sacrifice will not be sold for a life's prize. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, the veil undone, patriots rise. We are one, land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on.
or we will spend our sunset years telling our children what it was once like in the United States where men were free.
There was a time, the time is near, the great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil undone, patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave, no more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time, there was a time, now is the time. Do it.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation. I want you to get mad.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
These people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!